Single mom's incredible act saves a stranger's life. Discover the touching love story unfolding. Emily had always been the mainstay of her family, a single mom who wore courage like a badge. As she stood at the bus stop with her two shining stars, Noah and Lily, a bright Chicago morning wrapped around them. They shared giggles, exchanged breakfast ideas, and put on brave faces against a world that often felt too big for just the three of them. But today's cheer would soon be shattered in an instant. A screeching of tires filled the air. Emily's heart stuttered as she turned. A car was careening towards the street where Sam, a young veteran, stood, unaware of the disaster bearing down upon him. Time froze. Her instincts kicked in, and before she could process her own fear, Emily dashed forward. Memories of her CPR training replayed in her mind like a desperate lifeline, urging her on. When she reached Sam, he lay crumpled on the asphalt, the world blurring around him. The sirens are now distant wails, but the urgency pulsed in her palms as she pressed them against his chest. She felt the warmth and fragility of life slipping away, like water through her fingers. At that moment, the weight of her children, her struggles, her fears all became a singular force pushing her to do everything she could have promised to protect them, to not let life be as fickle as the man who had left them. The crowd formed an emotional circle, murmurs of admiration and disbelief echoing through the masses. The news of her bravery illuminated her family in searchlights, but with it came doubts. While some praised her, others whispered about her worthiness as a mother. Did they even know my story? She thought, feeling a tightness in her chest. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the weeks passed and the media buzzed, Emily tried to bask in the community's recognition. Life would soon deliver another blow. A doctor's somber gaze turned her world upside down. Noah had been diagnosed with a rare illness. Despair wrapped around her like a thick fog, cold and suffocating. The laughter in their home faded, replaced with hushed hospital rooms and the clinking of medical instruments. In the midst of this turmoil, she learned more about Sam during his recovery. The two shared stories like stitches binding their wounds. They discovered hidden dreams and shared losses that danced between them, sparking a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Could this friendship lead to something more than just survival? Life continued at a dizzying pace, but Emily stood at an emotional crossroads. With every smile, every teardrop, she asked herself, could love and understanding really be enough to heal her aching heart and Noah's fragile body? The bus pulled up, the world moving on, but their stories were just beginning to intertwine as they ventured into unpredictability together. Emily felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Each morning began with the promise of hope, but as the days wore on, darker clouds loomed heavy above her. Noah's diagnosis had shaken her to the core. The doctor's words echoed in her mind like a haunting refrain, words she couldn't shake off, no matter how hard she tried. "Mom, can we play a game?" Lily's small voice pulled Emily back from the edge of her worries. She turned to see her daughter clutching a board game, her bright eyes shining with innocence. "Of course, honey." Emily forced a smile, hoping to mask the heaviness lurking in her heart. They settled on the living room floor, pieces scattered around like remnants of their laughter. As they played, the front door creaked open. Sam stepped in, a lopsided grin on his face. He still wore the scruff of his recent recovery, but now there was a spark of vitality in his eyes, a small reassurance amidst the chaos that enveloped Emily's life. "Hey! I've come to join the fun," he exclaimed. A breath of relief swept through the room, and for a brief moment, the laughter returned. They played, and Emily watched as Lily and Sam's animated exchanges ignited joy, temporarily pushing away the shadow that had followed her home. Later, as Emily tucked Lily into bed, she found herself standing in the doorway of Noah's room, watching him sleep. The rise and fall of his small frame brought tears to her eyes. How could the world be so cruel? As she brushed a hand over his forehead, whispered prayers danced in her mind. Just fight a little longer, sweet boy. Please. The tension in her chest, the nagging fear that settled nightly, was occasionally interrupted by the warmth Sam brought into her life. His texts were regularly filled with encouragement, silly jokes, and thoughtful questions about Noah's treatment and progress. It felt strange and comforting all at once. Would she dare to hope that perhaps love could break through the storm raging inside her? "Can I help you?" Sam had asked one evening while sitting on her porch, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and pink. They sat shoulder to shoulder, the air filled with a shared silence that felt warm and enveloping. "There's not much anyone can do," Emily replied softly, glancing at her hands. "I could cook a meal, or take the kids out for ice cream. Just to give you a moment to breathe." His tone was gentle, unwavering, her heart quickened. Could she actually accept help? That evening, she sent him a message asking, "Would you mind picking up some groceries? I need a few things for Noah." Just a small step into trust, yet it felt like a leap over an abyss. Days turned into weeks, and small moments with Sam brought cracks of light into Emily's world. She marveled at how he seamlessly fit into their lives. Lily adored him, often asking him to come over, requesting stories woven from Sam's military days, his bravery an inspiring backdrop to the wild imagination of a child, but despair remained a silent accomplice, waiting for moments of weakness. As Emily lay in bed one night, staring at the ceiling, she remembered her doubt. Was she being selfish by leaning on Sam? Was love a luxury she could afford when her family was so fragile? Her phone buzzed with a message from Sam. "Want to go for a walk tomorrow? Just us. I think it's time for us to talk about what's next." With a mix of apprehension and thrill, Emily stared at the screen. The offer lingered in the air, thick with possibilities. Should she allow herself to hope to embrace the unknown path of love in the middle of such turmoil? Uncertainty swirled in her mind like autumn leaves rustling in the wind. But answers seemed just out of reach. What awaited them on this walk? She took a deep breath and replied, "Yes, let us talk." As sleep washed over her, Emily's heart raced. Was she ready to acknowledge the feelings growing in her? A new chapter was on the horizon, but would it have the courage to flourish amidst the shadows? The next day dawned with a crispness that hinted at autumn's arrival. Emily felt restless as she prepared for her walk with Sam, a bittersweet mix of anticipation and anxiety bubbling within her. She rolled out of bed, careful not to wake Noah, and made a cup of coffee. The aroma filled the kitchen, momentarily grounding her before the reality of the day set in. Lily had already risen and was now perched at the table, devouring a bowl of cereal. "Are you going somewhere?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "I'm just going for a walk, sweetie." "With Sam," Emily replied, trying to keep her tone light. Lily's face lit up. "Can I come?" Emily hesitated, imagining a quiet space where she could truly open her heart to the man who had become a surprising support in her life. "Not this time, but I promise I'll tell you all about it when I get back. I want to hear all the details," Lily proclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. Emily chuckled, ruffling her daughter's hair. "Okay, deal." When Sam arrived, the warmth of his presence washed over her. He had a welcoming smile that felt like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Ready?" he asked, his voice steady, yet playful. "Ready as I'll ever be," Emily replied, her heart pounding in rhythm with her hopeful steps. They began their walk through the neighborhood, past rows of trees beginning to turn vibrant shades of red and gold. The sound of crunching leaves beneath their feet echoed a comforting familiarity, yet the weight of their conversation loomed large. "So how've you been?" Sam asked, breaking the silence as they rounded a bend. She took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "It's been hard, you know. Every day feels like a tightrope walk, balancing hope and fear. Some days I do okay, but a lot of days are just heavy. Sam nodded as he kept his eyes ahead. I can't imagine. But I'm here. You don't have to do it alone. His words wrapped around her like a warm embrace, yet they also stirred uncertainty. Sam, I appreciate that. I do. But is it fair to lean on you? Especially now, with everything happening? Emily, you're not leaning on me. We're a team. I want to be in this with you. The sincerity in his voice sent a jolt through her, igniting something she had buried deep within. They paused at a small park, and Emily watched as children played nearby. There was laughter, pure and untainted by worry. It tugged at something in her heart, a longing for that simplicity. Lily talks about you all the time, you know, she said, half smiling. She thinks you're super cool. Do I? Sam laughed, looking pleased. Well, I think she's pretty awesome herself. You're doing a great job raising her, Emily. Her heart fluttered at his words. She hadn't realized how much she craved validation. Just a glimpse of belief in her capabilities had the power to ease her burden. What about you? What do you want? Emily asked, shifting gears, heart racing. The question hung in the air, heavy and promising. Sam stopped walking, turning to face her directly. Honestly? I think I'd like to see where this could go. This connection we have. His gaze was steady, earnest. Emily's breath hitched, her mind swirling with both fear and exhilaration. She could feel doors creaking open, revealing paths she never thought she'd consider. Was she ready to take that leap? Could their bond flourish, even amidst the chaos that surrounded them? The distant laughter of children faded into a muted background as she felt the tremor of possibility around them. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a piercing scream erupted from the park. That it was a child, eyes wide with terror, pointing at a small boy who had collapsed on the grass. Panic surged through her as instinct kicked in. Sam! She shouted, sprinting toward the chaos, heart pounding with urgency, leaving the larger conversation hanging in the air between them. What if this moment would change everything? As she rushed closer, she knew that this was a test, not just of her courage but of her ability to step onto an uncertain path of hope and connection. Emily's legs moved on autopilot as adrenaline propelled her towards the scene. The child's scream reverberated in her ears, pulling her focus like an unyielding current. Sam was close behind her, his urgency matching hers. When they reached the boy, a small crowd had formed. Parents were kneeling, glancing around, unsure of what to do. Emily's heart twisted painfully as she took in the sight. He was maybe 6 or 7, lying still on the grass, his face pale. Fear iced her veins, but something deep inside ignited a fierce determination. Someone call 911, she shouted, her voice slicing through the murmurs of shock. She knelt beside the boy. Can you hear me? She gently shook his shoulder, desperately hoping for a response. That he remained motionless. Stay calm, she told herself, taking a deep breath. A haze settled over the world as she focused solely on the boy. She placed her hand flat against his forehead. It felt cool to the touch, a stark contrast to her racing heart. Sam, she called, glancing up as he hovered next to her. Is he breathing? I can't tell, he replied, his brow furrowed. His eyes were steady on her, mirroring her own mounting anxiety. Let me check. Emily leaned closer. She pressed her ear to his mouth, listening intently. No breaths, just silence. She remembered the first aid class she took years ago, the one she never thought she'd actually use. We have to start CPR. Can you help me? Of course, Sam said, his voice resolute. They worked in tandem, Emily leading the way through the motions, instructing Sam on how to position himself while she pressed down on the boy's chest. With each push, doubt battled fear. Could they actually help him? Come on, buddy. You've got this, Emily whispered, blocking out everything but the rhythmic rise and fall of hope. Just then, the distant wail of an ambulance pierced the air. Relief washed over her, but she couldn't let up now. Keep it going, she urged, her voice steady, even as her heart thundered in her chest. That it felt like an eternity before she registered a flicker of movement beneath her hands. The boy gasped, his eyes fluttered open, and Emily felt a flutter of hope amidst the panic. Stay with us, okay? Help is on the way, Emily soothed, her voice low and gentle. He blinked, confusion flashing across his small features. You're gonna be all right, Sam added, his hand resting firmly on the boy's shoulder. As the sounds of sirens drew closer, relief began to seep in, mingling with disbelief. They had done it. They hadn't just stood by, they had acted. The emergency responders arrived a moment later, rushing in and taking control. Emily and Sam stepped back, barely able to process the weight of what had just unfolded. Breathing hard, she looked at Sam. Did we really just? Her voice trailed off, the gravity of the moment sinking in. Yeah, I think we did, he answered, all mingling with a hint of admiration. In that silence among the chaos fading around them, Emily felt warmth spread through her. They had faced a crisis together, and somehow, together, they had turned it into life, but as she exhaled, a new question gnawed at her. What did this mean for them now? Could they step forward together, not just as friends but as something more? The boy's parents rushed in, overwhelmed with gratitude and dread. Emily's heart soared while her mind spun. How could something so tragic spark a glimpse of hope for her own life? As the responders routinely took charge, she glanced at Sam, his expression a mixture of concern and something deeper. Emily, what do we do now? He asked quietly, almost hesitantly. The weight of his question hung in the air as they both realized this was more than just an unexpected encounter, it was a turning point. Would they dare to explore this connection that had fought to emerge through the shadows of chaos? The final decision loomed over them, along with the potential of stepping into uncharted territory. Could it be the beginning of something beautiful? Emily felt the vibrations of the world around her as she shook off the whirlpool of emotion. The boy was safe now. The professionals had taken over, his parents' faces a mix of relief and disbelief as they absorbed the reality of the situation. But even in the warmth of that moment, Emily's heart was trapped in a dilemma, tethered to Sam's gaze. What do we do now? Sam repeated, his voice a tether pulling her back from her thoughts. She inhaled deeply and allowed her eyes to drift over the scene, parents sobbing, children watching wide-eyed, paramedics working efficiently. Time had returned to a normal pace, and the adrenaline rush was a fading echo. Yet, here was Sam. Here was the electricity that sizzled in the space between them, pulsing with unspoken words and uncharted feelings. I guess we find out what this means for us, she replied, her voice barely a whisper. It felt brave, even revolutionary, to acknowledge the bond forming amidst the chaos. Sam's lips curved into a tentative smile, and she caught a glimpse of hope there. Yeah. I do like that, he responded softly, though beneath his calm demeanor lay a current of anxiety, the kind that came with new beginnings. As they stepped away from the crowd, Emily's nerves began to wane, replaced by the thrill of possibility. They walked in silence for a moment, the sounds of the world fading into a blur of colors and voices. Emily's heart raced again, but this time it was different, it was more about anticipation than fear. Emily. Sam's voice cut through her thoughts, and she turned to meet his eyes, which were filled with sincerity. What we did back there. It was intense. I mean, we saved a life. But I don't know, maybe there's something more we should explore. Her breath hitched. The weight of their unsaid feelings floated between them, charged with electricity that begged to be unleashed. This was a turning point, and it took courage to step out. Could they embrace the unknown together? Sam, just as she began to speak, a shrill scream pierced the air, pulling their attention back to the scene behind them. A woman, the mother of the boy, was collapsing to her knees beside the ambulance, her relief turning to overwhelming emotion as she held her son tightly. Every time I hear a siren, every time I see an ambulance, she howled, clutching the boy to her. I can't, I thought I lost him. Emily's throat tightened. The raw emotion felt almost unbearable, a reminder of how quickly life could change. Sam reached for Emily's hand, instinctively intertwining his fingers with hers. The warmth surged through her, a powerful grounding in the turmoil unfolding around them. "See that?" he muttered, nodding toward the family. "That's why we need to do this. Live fully, love fiercely. We can't waste time, right?" As she looked at him, clarity washed over her. Here was someone who understood the chaos of life, the fragility of existence. "Right," she breathed, sharing a smile with him, one that lit a small spark of hope in the gray of uncertainty. The day had twisted their hearts through fear, now they stood on the verge of something extraordinary. Before she could linger too long in their budding connection, his fingers tightened around hers. "Let's grab a coffee," he suggested, the light in his eyes hopeful and inviting. "I think we have a lot to talk about." "Yes. I'd like that," she replied, her heart fluttering at the promise of what was to come. As they began to walk away from the scene, hand in hand, the crowd seemed to fade, leaving just the two of them. But as they stepped into the world beyond the chaos, a small voice broke through the air. "Emily! Sam!" They turned to see the boy, now sitting up, a smile breaking through the earlier fear, his parents softly hovering beside him. He waved excitedly, eyes sparkling with gratitude. "See?" Sam chuckled softly, squeezing her hand. "That's the magic we can create, together." And in that moment, Emily realized that the act they had shared was merely the beginning. As they strode forward, excitement mingled with trepidation, the road ahead seemed limitless. Was she ready to embrace it all? Whatever happened next, one thing was clear: this was just the beginning of their story, and it shimmered with possibilities as bright as the day itself. Emily and Sam walked towards the nearby cafe, their hands still intertwined, the weight of the world behind them gradually lifting. The atmosphere felt different now, imbued with the fragrance of fresh coffee and the buzz of quiet conversations. She stole a glance at Sam, his expression a cocktail of excitement and uncertainty. This was uncharted territory for both of them. As they settled into a cozy corner, Emily took a deep breath, the aroma of brewing coffee filling her with warmth. "So, about what happened back there," she started, her voice wavering slightly. Her heart was pounding not just from their earlier experience, but from the anticipation of sharing their feelings. "I know," Sam interrupted gently. "It felt like something bigger than us, didn't it? Like we were meant to be there together." His blue eyes sparkled with sincerity, and for a brief moment, a bubble of silence enveloped them, as if the world outside had folded in on itself. Emily nodded, her mind racing. "It was like the universe pushed us into action, and once we started," she hesitated, searching for the right words. "I think I felt more alive than ever." "Exactly," he replied, a smile breaking through. "I didn't even think about the risks. Just instinct. And maybe that's what we've been missing, making decisions, taking risks together." As they talked about their day, the laughter flowed easily between them. They shared stories about their childhood's favorite games, silly mistakes, and dreams left unpursued. Each revelation opened another layer, unraveling their fears and insecurities, allowing glimmers of hope to shine through. Yet, as Emily began to discuss her struggles, the joy faded slightly. "I'm not sure how to navigate everything. Being a single mom is tough. It's like there's always a cloud of worry overhead," she confessed, her voice trembling as she felt the weight of her fears, a palpable reminder of how delicate life could be. Sam leaned forward, intent on her words. "You don't have to carry it all alone, you know. I want to be there for you, however you need." His voice was steady yet soft, a safe harbor amidst her swirling thoughts. "Do you really mean that?" she asked, studying his face for any sign of insincerity. "Of course," he fired back, without a flicker of hesitation. "You and your son deserve to know joy and peace, and maybe I can be part of that." The sincerity of his words washed over her, leaving behind a tingling warmth that spread through her chest. But alongside that warmth was a flicker of doubt. Was she ready to let someone in, to open her heart again after so long? Just then, their server approached, breaking the moment. As they ordered their drinks, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was happening, shifts beneath the surface of their growing connection. After the server left, Sam returned to her gaze. Speaking of risks, do you ever take chances outside of motherhood? Like hobbies or adventures? Emily laughed. I used to run marathons. Really? He asked, clearly surprised. Yeah, until life said, let's throw a curveball, she replied, a mix of humor and sadness in her tone. Now, my marathon is getting through each day, keeping my son safe and happy. Maybe you need a bit of that thrill again, he suggested, a twinkle of mischief in his eyes. What if we trained for a race together? Or just went for a run? The adrenaline of the idea was tempting, but fear tugged at her heart. What if I falter? What if it's too much? Sam leaned in closer, the distance between them shrinking. Then we stumble together. That's the whole point, right? It's about growing, experiencing life, not just surviving. His words sank in deep, shifting something within her. She wanted to explore this spark between them, let it ignite some new passion in her life. All right then, let us see where this leads us, she finally said, a smile creeping onto her face. The air between them felt electric, full of promise, full of uncharted roads. As their coffees arrived, with steam swirling into the air, a sense of excitement filled the cafe. But just as they raised their cups in a toast, a sudden sound echoed from outside, the wailing of sirens, once again a stark reminder of life's unpredictability. Emily's heart sank as she caught Sam's watchful eyes, and in that moment, a new question loomed between them: could they really brave whatever was to come together? The sirens echoed, slicing through the bubble of their moment, washing over them with a rush of uncertainty. Emily's grip on her cup tightened as she instinctively glanced toward the window. Outside, flashing lights painted the street in frantic hues, a stark contrast to the warm glow of the cafe. What do you think is happening out there? Sam asked, leaning slightly closer, concern creasing his brow. I don't know. But it doesn't sound good, Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Despite the warmth of his presence, a chill swept through her. Would their moments of joy be disrupted by the harsh realities of life? Let's check, Sam suggested, and they both stood, leaving their cozy corner behind. They stepped out into the cool evening air where a small crowd had gathered, eyes glued to the chaos unfolding. 2 emergency vehicles were parked with lights flashing, and paramedics were rushing toward a figure lying on the ground. Emily's heart raced, not just from worry, but from a sudden instinct deep within her. Stay here, she instructed Sam, squeezing his hand before releasing it. Without waiting for a response, she pushed through the crowd. What are you doing? He called after her, a mixture of fear and pride in his voice. Emily didn't look back. As she approached the scene, the world around her melted away. She could see the paramedics working frantically, but there was something in her that ignited an urgency, a call to action. She had been through tough times, and she could handle this. A memory surged up, flashes of training from when she volunteered at the community center, teaching others about first aid. Is there a doctor here? She asked, reaching the front. One of the paramedics looked up, surprise giving way to the need for help. We could use one. He shouted. Can you assess the breathing? Without hesitation, Emily knelt down beside the stricken stranger. The crowd murmured, uncertainty hanging in the air. She focused on the person's chest, willing herself to stay calm. Just breathe, she whispered, feeling the weight of the moment. She reached for her phone to call for more help when she felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Sam, worry etched in his features, but something sparkled in his eyes, a flicker of admiration. Do you need help? He asked, his voice steady. Yes. Apply pressure here, she directed, motioning to where blood was visible. Together, they worked, their instincts taking over as the paramedics continued their tasks around them. Time seemed to dilate, every heartbeat resonating like a drum in her ears. The stranger stirred slightly, a fragile flicker of life amidst the chaos. Emily's heart ached with empathy, a bond forming between them in that moment of shared humanity. As the ambulance doors swung open, taking the patient into safety, Emily felt a wave of relief mixed with the knowledge that this was just a fragment of their shared experience, a glimpse of bravery she never knew she had. "Wow, Emily, that was incredible," Sam said once the tension faded. Their eyes met, an electric current flowing between them, an unspoken recognition of trust and connection. "I just did what felt right," she replied, catching her breath. The reality of what they faced earlier now felt even heavier, yet forged something stronger between them. "Maybe that was a risk worth taking," Sam said thoughtfully. Maybe. Emily hesitated, thoughts swirling. What were the implications of this? The notion of being brave together unleashed breezes of hope, but fear crept in as well. Could they sustain this energy, this connection? They returned to their table, hearts racing, but a comfortable silence fell over them, sharing a secret now. Sam took her hand, and she felt the warmth spread. "Ready for that run?" he asked, a playful glimmer in his eyes. "More than ever," she replied, a grin breaking through her earlier doubt. Just then, a chill breeze swept through the café, tossing open doors, and with it came a haunting sense of foreboding, a shadow lurking beneath the surface of their budding agreement. But as they made plans for their first run together, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that change was in the air, and not just the good kind. Would they be able to handle whatever followed? Was their newfound bond strong enough for the storms ahead? Emily's heart raced as she tried to focus on the conversation, but the adrenaline still pulsing through her veins made it difficult. The café buzzed with murmurs, customers stealing glances at her and Sam. She could feel their eyes on her, a strange mix of admiration and curiosity, leaving her feeling exposed yet empowered. "What's next?" Sam asked, his voice breaking through the noise. He leaned closer, the concern still lingering in his eyes. "Are we really doing this?" "Yeah, I think we should," Emily replied. She could hardly believe her own words, the idea of running together, but something within felt right. They had faced a moment of chaos, and they could push through this uncertainty together too. They stepped outside again, the cool air wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The sirens had faded, but the night still felt heavy. Sam pulled out his phone, checking the weather. "Looks like the rain will hold off for our run." "Great," Emily said, glancing down at her sneakers. They still felt so new, such a promise of beginnings. "Let's just keep it light, an easy jog." As they began to move, the rhythm of their steps synchronized, a natural beat forming. Emily's breathing steadied, and with each stride, memories of the earlier scene began to swirl away. In that moment, the chaos seemed like a world away. A few blocks into their run, they talked about everything and nothing. The conversation flowed like an easy stream, moments of laughter punctuated by comfortable silences. It was in the pauses when she felt the bond blooming between them, an inexorable connection forged in shared vulnerability. "Emily, I'm really impressed," Sam praised, glancing sideways as they jogged. "You didn't have to step in like that. It took guts." "I didn't even think about it," she admitted, the words spilling out before she could catch them. "It just felt necessary. Like I had to do something." "That's brave," he said softly, and the sincerity in his tone made her heart flutter. Sam's admiration struck a chord deep within her. It awakened something she had buried, her desire to be more than just a single mom navigating a complicated life. Still, doubts crept in. What if she had acted out of a misguided sense of heroism? What if she couldn't handle whatever storms were ahead? The weight of those thoughts darkened her moments of joy, a storm cloud hovering just out of sight. They slowed down when they reached a small park, the grassy area alive with the sounds of night crickets chirping and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. It felt surreal, like they stepped into a safe haven, untouched by the chaos of the world outside. Sam plopped down onto the grass, breathing heavily but looking pleased, the streetlights casting soft glows around them. "Let's just sit for a moment," he suggested. Emily nodded, her legs grateful for the break. As they settled, she couldn't help but notice his profile, the way the light caught the contours of his face. He looked thoughtful, almost contemplative, and it made her wonder what was going on inside his mind. She wanted to know more about him, to peel back the layers of his story. "Why did you come to the cafe tonight?" she asked, surprising herself with her curiosity. He hesitated, eyes directed toward the horizon. "Honestly, I was looking for a distraction. Just wanted to get out and clear my head." He turned to her, a half-smile playing at his lips. "Then I saw you and it all changed." Her heart fluttered. "What do you mean?" Before he could respond, the sound of a distant crash shattered the peaceful moment. A heated argument erupted between two figures in the park, their voices raised and angry. Emily's stomach sank. Sam shot her a concerned glance, and all at once, the thrill of the night turned cold. They could run away or confront the chaos before them once again. Would they stand together or retreat, leaving their bond untested? "Should we check it out?" Sam asked, his eyes flickering with an unspoken challenge. Emily felt a surge of adrenaline. "Maybe we should." With anxiety and anticipation swirling in her chest, they rose from the grass. She had no idea what awaited them, but as they moved toward the argument, she felt a sense of power swell within her. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. Could this become not just about a moment of bravery, but the beginning of something more? The heat of the confrontation pressed down on Emily as they approached the source of the chaos. Shadows danced under the flickering streetlights, and her heart raced not just from the fear of what lay ahead, but from the thrill of standing shoulder to shoulder with Sam. As they neared, the two figures came into clearer view, both men, their faces contorted with anger. Emily's instincts screamed to retreat, to break away from the impending storm. But she could feel Sam's electric energy beside her, which anchored her in place. "Let us try to be calm," Sam murmured, his voice low and steady, as if he were trying to soothe a wild animal. Emily nodded, though a knot twisted tighter in her stomach. "Hey!" Sam called out, projecting a confidence he may not have felt. "What is going on here?" The men turned, surprised. One lagged forward, a menacing look activated by their intrusion. "This isn't your business, buddy," he barked, and Emily went cold, fearing that they had just stepped into something dangerous, but she felt Sam's hand brush against her arm, a silent reminder that they were in this together. "Actually, it is our business," he replied, maintaining eye contact with an unwavering focus. "We want to help." Emily held her breath, her mind racing through possible outcomes. Would they be met with embarrassment or hostility? A fight or a truce? Everything felt fragile, like it could shatter at any moment. The second man, who had been more withdrawn, looked between the aggressive one and them. His eyes seemed softer, troubled by the brewing storm. "We just need to settle this, it's nothing serious," he muttered, but the tremor in his voice told a different story. "See? Just walk away," the first man fired back, but now there was a crack in his bravado. Emily felt a surge of empathy. "You don't have to do this," she said, surprising herself. The words came out, tinged with a softness that cut through the tension like a knife. "We all have our struggles. Haven't you ever needed someone to talk to?" The eyes of the second man softened further, and Emily could see the gears shifting inside his head. It's complicated," he admitted quietly. "Life can be complicated," Sam chimed in. "But adding more anger won't solve anything. Can we help? Let us figure this out together." There was a pause, heavy with uncertainty. The night air thickened as the crowd of onlookers began to converge, whispering among themselves, building the energy around them. It felt like an eternity before the first man loosened his grip. His scowl eased just a fraction, though his pride held him back. "Who are you two, anyway?" he asked, sounding less like a bully and more like a curious kid caught in trouble. "That's easy," Emily replied, the adrenaline lending her a sense of bravado. "Just two people who want to make the world a little brighter." She could see Sam flashing her a proud smile, and that spark of connection set fire to her own resolve. Somehow, they had become part of something larger, as if pulling back a curtain to reveal a truth hidden behind the chaos. Then all at once, the tension deflated like a popped balloon. The second man took a step back, and without a word, the first man followed. They exchanged a glance, one filled with implications, and in that moment of stillness, Emily felt the weight of her own doubts begin to lift. As the two men turned away, lost to the shadows, an unexpected calm swept over the park. Emily exhaled, relief washing over her like a wave. Sam looked at her, and she could feel their bond tightening with each shared breath. "Wow," he said, awe evident in his eyes. "That was incredible, Emily. Isn't that what we're supposed to do?" Emily replied, her voice steady despite the thudding of her heart, but before Sam could respond, his phone buzzed loudly. He glanced down at the message and his expression changed. I have to go. "I got a call," he said apologetically, pulling away already. Suddenly, Emily felt a chasm opening between them. "Wait, what?" "I'll text you," he promised, taking a step back, his eyes still holding on to hers as if anchoring her in the moment. In that instant, a million questions clashed in her mind. Would this night slip away, leaving just echoes of what might have been? Would he come back? As Sam faded into the distance, Emily stood rooted in place, the world swirling around her. The connection they'd forged felt both like the birth of something beautiful and the ever-present fear of losing it. What now? She took a deep breath and watched the chaos recede, wondering where her own courage would lead her next. But what she didn't expect was the shadow looming behind her, someone else watching, waiting. Emily felt the adrenaline fade, replaced by a rush of uncertainty as she stood in the park, the shadows of the night creeping around her. The encounter with Sam felt exhilarating, but now, his absence filled the air like a ghost, reminding her of the fragile state of her heart. She walked back toward where they had sat moments earlier. Memories of laughter and connection lingered, but now they felt distant. Had they truly forged a bond? Or was it just a flicker of hope amidst chaos? The night air was heavy with potential, but as she glanced back toward where Sam had disappeared, a chill settled in her bones. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Pulling it out, her heart raced as she saw his name light up the screen. It read, "I'm really sorry I had to leave. Something came up. Text me when you get home." The gentle tone of his message soothed her. It reminded her that this was real, that their connection was based on shared experiences and trust, not just fleeting moments. Taking a deep breath, she replied, "No worries. Just reliving the night. Talk soon." With her mind still racing, she wandered away from the park, the weight of her thoughts pulling at her. Noah's illness loomed overhead, darkness threading through the fabric of her life yet again. But today, she had faced fears head-on, not just for herself but for another child, and somehow, that made her feel stronger. As she reached her front porch, the familiar creak of the door brought a sense of comfort. The house was quiet, but she felt different potential coursed through her veins. Inspired to embrace life as it came, she climbed the stairs to Noah's room. Peering in, she found him asleep, his small body rising and falling rhythmically. Her heart swelled as she brushed her fingers through his hair. For a moment, the weight of the world slipped away. The following days unfurled like a new beginning. Emily found herself inspired to tap into the strength born from vulnerability. She had reached out to community centers about volunteering, feeling the current of change igniting her spirit. Sam's presence and the night's events had taught her that life could be a dance between chaos and joy, a balance she was starting to find. Then came the message from Sam. "Join me for a run tomorrow at 7 a.m. I'll bring coffee." Dreams of shared mornings flooded her with warmth. "Can't wait." She quickly typed back, a signaling of hope lighting up within her. The next day, the sun rose soft and golden as she laced up her shoes, excitement bubbling like a pot on the stove. Meeting him felt like a promise, one they had both made to face whatever lay ahead. The world felt different, each breath infused with the energy of a new beginning. As they jogged side by side, their conversation flowed like the rhythm of their steps. Emily shared her hopes about Noah, her volunteering efforts, and even the insecurities as a single mom. Sam listened intently, his eyes reflecting understanding that warmed her heart. "I've realized that every day is precious. It's about living fully, right?" Emily remarked, exhaling the words like a mantra meant for cementing her resolve. "Exactly. And sometimes, it just takes a few brave steps, whether it's running or facing life's challenges head-on," he replied, his voice steady, the sincerity glazing over it like a comforting balm. As they approached the park, the same sacred place where they had first confronted chaos together, Emily felt an electric buzz of possibility. She glanced sideways at Sam, catching the fleeting smiles between them, a symbol of trust born in moments of vulnerability. "Let's make a deal," she suggested, breath fogging in the brisk air, the autumn leaves swirling around their feet. "For every challenge we face, whether personal or together, we'll always step up." "Deal." "Deal," he said, a grin breaking on his face as warmth flooded her. They reached the park bench, and Sam stopped, and suddenly, there they were, two souls ready to face the world, not just for themselves but for the family they chose to build. The shadow she carried felt lighter now. With the promise of a new path ahead, Emily realized they could navigate life not just as individuals but as a team. She took a leap of faith, tapping into an unexpected strength alongside Sam. The winds shifted, and what began that day was just the start of a beautiful adventure, a dance filled with love, laughter, and hope, intertwined under the tapestry of a challenging but promising life. The healing journey had begun, and she felt it coursing through her, an undeniable force guiding them forward. Live fully. Love fiercely together, they would face it all, and as they walked into the glow of the setting sun, with fingers laced, Emily's journey transformed. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will break your heart and mend it again. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show you're with us on this journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, and don't keep it to yourself. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.